I was invited to India to work with Action for Food Production and help raise living standards of 5 different villages that faced some huge problems. We were able to solve most of those problems just brainstorming together with the leaders in the community. One of them was that their biogas digestion systems, which actually provided natural gas for heating and for lighting and cooking, would slow down in the winter, obviously, because of the cold. And so they wanted to know if there would be a way to keep that digestion process going faster in the winter so that they could have, especially when it was needed the most for heating, that they would have gas available. And so together we came up with the idea of a batch water heating system to heat the water for biogas digesters. We decided that for the volume that was needed for the biogas digesters, we would put these 55-gallon drums painted black into a series so that cold water introduced on one end would heat up in the first barrel, and then the hot water from that first barrel would be introduced as a cooler water in the second, etc., until you got pretty hot water. The results of this, jumping ahead a bit, is that the gas production in the winter actually went up because of the solar heated water. We made a housing for the 55-gallon drums. It was long and covered with glass on the front. Here is just showing one 55-gallon drum inside the housing, which was built in an interesting way. They decided that since they didn't have insulation, like rigid insulation, that they would build 2 walls of brick so that you had in between the 2 walls of brick a dead air space. Now that could be filled with sawdust or sheep wool in plastic, because that's going to absorb moisture from the air one way or another. So let me move my hand here a bit. So any of that would be great insulation. That was an air gap to create a dead air space between the walls. Dead air, as you know, doesn't transfer heat very well. Now, for the best transfer of solar heat, it's best to put a 55-gallon drum in a horizontal position so that water, as it heats up, will flow in a laminar fashion. If the drum is in a vertical position, it doesn't transfer the heat from the black surface. All this is painted black. And in a vertical position, it wouldn't transfer the heat with a laminar flow of water, transferring heat from where the sun hits the tank to the back and down. So cold water would be introduced into one end, the low end of this tank, and at the high end you get your hot water, the hot outlet, to mix manure with warm water and then introduce it to the biogas digesters without any slowing down of the digestion process. And this was huge, and it was very low cost, built in about a couple of days with the laborers in the community that were volunteering to help. This was one of about 12 projects, and I don't think we spent more than $1,000 on all 12 projects. So I think for batch water heating, this was my best experience that I had. I think that I've pretty much covered important aspects of this system. And want to point out that if I were to put a 55-gallon drum on top of a tower for solar showers, I would do it in this position. And many countries wouldn't need any kind of housing, wouldn't even need glass, just a black 55-gallon drum on top of a tower with a shower underneath.